And hello, my chickadees. Welcome back to another episode of John Doesn't Know What the Hell He's Doing, but just tries to make it up as he goes along. So, let's start with... Sorry. Donut. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land, the Gaaaaah peoples. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to Aboriginal elders and peoples from other communities who may be taking part in this live stream today. Okay, where am I? I've got to close that. I have chat open. Yes! Tabraze said, I missed last week's episode. Is the members list new? Yeah, I was just experimenting with that last week because I got... So this is the story. I got a notification from Patreon that there were funds accumulated that people had contributed and that I could withdraw it. And I realized that I have totally ignored Patreon and GitHub sponsors for so long. So long. And I went and logged in because I hadn't even logged into Patreon in ages. And I saw this big list of names of people who are currently supporting by donating, like, for many people it's like $1 or $2 per month, some people it's $10 a month, and it all adds up. And so I realized that I was doing absolutely nothing for all of these people, and I thought I should do something. So in OBS, I just quickly pulled up a text overlay thing filter. You add a source to your thing, which is text. You point it at a text file and give it an animation, and it takes care of it. So I know that it is members as well. In fact, I will see. Let me see if I can do this. Hang on. Stop coffee time? Tazzy Bob! Okay, what I'm going to do... How do I do this? I want to go into a scene in OBS to select one of the layers, but I don't want to switch to that scene, because what I want to do is take that scene and copy it into the real one. Yeah, it does include YouTube contributors. That is a pricey coffee. And I'm not even sure if it even gets through all the names. In the time that's available, like on that intro thing, it zips through names pretty quickly, but I'm not sure if it even gets to the end of the text file by the time the timer runs out. Okay, let's... Okay, I am going to switch to the intro sequence again, which means that it is going to start playing. It's going to mute my microphone, and it's going to start the actual intro sequence again. While that is happening, I'm going to copy that layer, and then I'm going to switch in OBS back to this and try to add it, and then we'll see what happens. Oh, in OBS, I think they call it studio mode. Okay, what is studio? That's too complicated for me. Sources, properties, how do I go into studio mode? Oh, here we go, studio mode. I'm going to click this button and see what happens. I may break everything. The world may end. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, studio mode. Ah, okay. So now I have two views. How do I switch to that? Okay, I'm going to go to... Yeah, I know that. Sorry, hang on. Okay, now we're back. Now, if I click on the intro, this may change scenes, it may not. Let's see what happens. I don't think it's changed scenes. That's good. Okay, so now what I can do is copy that layer and I can come back to this scene. Now this is really going to screw things up. Okay, I'm going to go back out of studio mode. This is going to screw things up, so I can't leave it like this. I'm just doing this as a demonstration. Okay. Now I've clicked that in, but it's not, oh, there it goes. Okay. So you should see names scrolling up the screen now. I'm going to leave this running to the end. So it's got Patreon supporters, YouTube supporters, and then so it does Patreon Gold, YouTube Gold, Patreon Silver, YouTube Silver. Coffee juice. Thanks Tassie, Bob and Henrik. Okay, so then there's a big list of Patreon bronze supporters. I assume that you can actually see this. I can't see it on the 8M window on the monitor. It looks like OBS is overlaying the names, but I can't tell for sure. So I think that was it. Okay, I think that was all the names, which would have gone through in 60 seconds. Yeah, okay. And I realize that it is aesthetically terrible. It's just overlaying everything. It puts the names over the top. They're going too quickly to read properly. It's it's all around amateur hour, but I am not a professional YouTuber, and I just did it quickly as a way of saying thank you to people. Okay, so good morning to Crispian, Jack's Tech, Tinker. Hang on, click, click, click. Just got to click on this list. Okay, to Braze, John Whips, NCX94, Teddy Bob, Sharky, Grant Mazels, Any Mules. I don't think I've seen NCX in the list before. Maybe I have. Stephen George is here. Henrik, Simon CBR. Is the CBR the airport code for your location? Perhaps? You're lying, Crispian. Crispian says, not a professional YouTuber, but you give a good impression. No, I do not. I give a bad impression of all YouTubers. Oh, okay, NCX94 says, no, first time for me and won't be long. Time to go to bed here. Okay, in that case, now you've said that, you have to say what part of the world you're in. What time zone? Yeah, okay. But I don't want to keep you awake when you should be asleep. I have been suffering from that problem myself recently. Paris? NCX is in Paris. Ooh, okay. So you are, yes, yes. So you're approximately midnight-ish. No, we're on day. Yeah, I'm doing the mental slip for the daylight savings adjustment, but it's late for you, is what it comes down to. It's dark o'clock. Did TTS block my message, says Henrik. Let's see, what message? Is it doing its bad words thing again? I can see that it blocked Imi, saying hello, who just said hello, bad word detected. And, oh yes, to Braze, it did. It blocked your bad word. Yep, 10 past midnight. It blocked your bad word because you were talking about food, and you're not allowed to talk about food on the stream. That's not fair. Every single week, you tease me by talking about food. Oh, Crispian, YouTube want long handle. Blocked bad word detected. Yeah, so this may, just for saying g'day, so this may be the long YouTube name thing again. Henrik. Sorry, not to Braze. Yeah. Henrik, did TTX block my message? It was Henrik. I am just quickly scanning back through the chat because I hadn't even read. Shortest wait for the longest night. Where? Okay. What? Black pepper. Only words that squirrels can say are allowed for TTS. Okay. So, what are we doing today? I have some ideas. I have many disjointed ideas. So I am just going to switch over to a thing in Fusion because I want to do something actual, practical, hands-on, and test something, but we will get to that. In fact, let's do this totally backwards. I'm going to show you something and then not do it, and then do something else and then come back to this. Because I might as well preempt the squirrelization. So this thing here, let's get rid of that, all that visual noise. This thing here, the UPDI serial adapter, I made these. I have them right here. I assembled a whole panel of them. Haven't actually tested one yet, so I don't know if the design works. So that can be a goal for today. By the end of the stream today, I want to know if this programmer works. I hope it does. So, to do that, well, I guess I just hook it up. What I can do is get a USB cable and cut it and just solder it onto the pins. Maybe that's the best way to do it. Or do I have a USB cable? Okay, we will get back to that. Point being, I have this device. I don't know if it works, and we can find out together. And then if it doesn't work, I can be embarrassed in public. There's nothing much like doing things in public for the first time and seeing whether it works. Because then everybody can share my disappointment and perhaps my debugging process if it turns out that I've made a mistake with that. That it is so rare for that number to remain unchanged past the first test. I really should stop. I know there are people, so an example, my friend John Spencer, who is fairly often in the chat, I haven't seen him today. Whenever he does designs for boards, he starts out with something like version 0.0.1 and then works up from there. So by the time you've done a few revisions, you might be at revision 0.3 or something. And I never do that. So he starts at a very small number and works up towards 1, with the goal that being that by the time you get to version 1.0, it's actually been through development. So that is kind of it's very much a software development mindset, which is that you do not reach version 1.0, like the release candidate, until you have already been through many build cycles and you have done debugging and verified that your work is correct, etc. And then when you are happy with it, you might be on version 0.217 or something. Eventually you say, yes, this is Golden Master, and we are going to go for a V1.0 release. And for some reason in hardware land, I start counting at 1.0 and then work up from there. Yeah, Austin says, yep, I start at 0.0.0 for my initial test. Then a first public one is usually 0.0.1, but I also keep the date of last change on the design. Makes finding orders and such easier. Yep. Also, I finally made a yes. Hello, Austin. Cool. Oh, Tinker says, I'm hoping it works. It's the reason I redesigned my paste and test jig. Ooh. Pressure. Pressure. Yeah, so hello to Imi and to Austin, who have joined the chat since I did the first shout-outs. NCX says, still missing a USB connected socket on the modules. That would solve it. Yes, it would. If this... banana. Henrik sending me a banana. This is just to trip me up, isn't it? It's to throw me off. Throw me off course. Here's Henrik's banana. Thank you, Henrik, for the banana. I'm pretty sure I've said this before. I can't stand eating bananas. The texture just gets me. But I really love the smell.
Banana, so no banana, sadly.
But I really love the smell of banana flavoring. Banana. It smells so good. So Tinker, what do you mean you redesigned your test and paste jig around it? By around it, I assume you mean this contraption / monstrosity. And test and paste jig, I want to know about this. Tell me. Tinker says, pretty sure the earliest version of a board I've sent to Fab was 0.42. Austin says,
_creations said, the overlapping silk is driving me nuts.
Yeah, it drives me nuts in this view too. Luckily, it is not actually overlapping silk. These things that you see here, see IC1, SW3, SW2, etc. Up here, SW1, LED3, these designators, that is not silk. That is on the T names layer. And when you push from a board layout, like if I come to T place and isolate that layer, that is all it's seen. In fact, what I'll do is, let's turn off a few other layers just to get rid of B place. So that is the silk. You can see it looks a whole lot neater. So this is what the boards actually look like. And
what's the missing connector?
The missing connector, oh, it's this thing here. It's this switch. You can see that there are these little slide switches on the two sides, and then there is this larger slide switch. And if we switch back to the 3D view, you'll see it's got the two small slide switches. It doesn't have the larger slide switch. And that is simply because I do not have a 3D model for that slide switch yet. I was rushing to do this and I did not do a model for it. So I need to go back and do that, clean up my parts library. I added this footprint. It's the first time I've ever used this switch. And in fact, this is one of the areas, in fact, this is something that's worth checking out. LCSC, I'm going to find my order history, find the datasheet for this switch. This is actually an area where this design may screw up. But I think I am mostly covered. I think where is this? Just checking what was in that order. No, that was ISO, that was CAN transceivers. This order, that switch, yes, that switch. Okay, I will bring this up in view in a second. This is the switch. It's this little three-way slide switch, and the way the data sheet is laid out for it is, it kind of pissed me off. It's unusual. You can see that it's got 4 pins on it. That's because it is a single pole three throw switch, and it's got those little plastic tabs sticking down, which are the alignment pins, and then it's got mechanical attachment pins on the sides, just to make it really nice and strong. Now, if we look at the data sheet, it's got all the mechanicals on it. It's actually a decent, in terms of the dimensions, this is one of the better data sheets. And one of the things that I really like about it is that their datum, or their reference point, is the center here. It is horizontal and vertical center. It's kind of center of mass, which is where the pickup location would be on the pick and place machine. Because a lot of the time when you get footprints like this, the dimensions will be strange. Now, there are some things that are slightly annoying about this. You can see here, for example, that it shows center to center, the gap between these pads, it's 3 millimeters, which means that they are 1.5 millimeters each off the center line. So if you took this as being the 0, 0 origin, this pad would be at plus 1.5 millimeters, this one would be at minus 1.5 millimeters. That's perfect. And this one would be at plus 3 millimeters, that's minus 3 millimeters. Chef's kiss. Like, the way they've laid this out is really easy to derive the relative location, the locations relative to this center point. Now, if you were being pedantic, you could say that this diagram is not fully constrained, or what's the term? It's ambiguous, because you can assume that this is the center point between these two, but there is no actual offset given from one of these pads to the center line. So we're assuming that they are offset 1.5 millimeters symmetrically, but it could be 1.2 millimeters and 1.8 millimeters or something. So, I mean, we can look at this and make an assumption that it is symmetrical, but if you were being really pedantic about this drawing, it does not have absolute references for many of these things. Amanda, welcome to the stream and the chat. Coming in a bit late today. Had a late night working. Oh, I hope that went well. And so, yeah. But anyway, my point is, on the whole, this is a good diagram. One that's nice to work from. And you can see that it's center to center. Now, one thing that I find one thing I find kind of annoying working with diagrams is when they use different references for the origins of the individual items within it. Here's a classic example. You see pads 2 and 3, which are said to be 3 millimeters apart, center to center. Can I zoom more? I want to bring this right up close where you can see it. Okay, you can see that these pads are 3 millimeters center to center, so 1.5 millimeters positive and negative off the vertical center line. But look at these pads here, they are 11.3 millimeters from the outer edge to the outer edge. It's not to the center. And so if you want to figure out the location of this pad, the way you would do that, now in this particular case, these pads are 1 millimeter wide, so it's really easy. The maths doesn't bend your brain. But if you take the gap between them and then you halve it to get the distance from the center line to this point, and then you back up 0.5 of a millimeter, that will give you the offset relative to the center line. But you have to take off half the width of the pad to get the center line of the pad, which is not rocket science. I mean, all of this is pretty easy. You can figure it out. But it's just that they've used two different conventions here, because what they have shown is the center to center position of these pads, and they have shown the edge to edge position of these pads. So they could have just shown the center to center position of all of the pads, or the edge to edge of all of the pads, or something, and at least being consistent about it. Personally, my preference. Oh, and what else can we derive here? So the distance from that center line. So we've got 2.2 millimeters center to center vertically between these pads. But then, and we can see the height of these pads, the width of these pads. But what is the vertical offset of these pads relative to that center line? It's all a bit of a fudge. So, not perfect. This diagram is not perfect, but it's pretty good. I have suffered working with way worse diagrams. Now, what else have we got? Oh, that's the end of the data sheet. Okay. I just glanced at this, and my brain did some pattern matching because it was moving. Like, I was scrolling at the time. As it was scrolling, I was reading hand soldering, and then my brain filled in the last bit, and I read that as hand soldering for the win. Okay. I don't know why I did that. So back up here. Okay. One thing you'll notice, okay, this is the entire data sheet going from the top of the data sheet to the bottom of the data sheet there. So we've got reflow conditions, etc. That's all cool. We've got the recommended land area, land diagram, the pads, the footprint, all these different terms for the same thing. So we've got the footprint there. We've got the mechanical outline, which is all nice. Where's the electrical diagram? How do you know what those pins actually are? Where is essentially the schematic representation of the part in this data sheet? Has anybody seen it? I've had it on the screen. I've scrolled past it. I think that yeah, can anybody tell me? Just give a quick description. John's failing to see the chat again. Do you have the placement on the other axis? Yeah, lots of throttling. So loud as it is only meters away. Yes, bird out there. Worst case, shave off the locator pins. Do you have the placement on the other axis? Oh, Tinker says my design has the 3D model of that switch in it. Ah. Didn't realize I sent you that pics. Oh, Testomatic Junior. Right, okay. Yes, I have been ignoring their chat. I'm sorry. Pin 3 is the common pin, says Tinker. Okay, so there is, strictly speaking, there is no schematic in this data sheet. The way they represent it is right here. So this is the diagram. And as Tinker said, pin 3 is the common pin. Weird little pick in the right on the diagrams. Yes. So what they are showing here is a mechanical representation of what happens when the slide switch slides. This U-shaped thing here is representing the physical shape of the metal contact inside the switch that slides across and then makes or breaks connections inside the switch. So in order to figure it out, you have to kind of look at this diagram and visualize the mechanical change within the switch. So you can see at the moment in this position, and you can see there's a little arrow there. But can I zoom in even more? Let's really bring this up front and center. Yeah, that'll do. So imagine this U-shaped thing is a piece of metal. It can slide to the right. There is a ground connection pin 5, which is representing the mechanical tabs here, and it's taken to ground. It doesn't have to be, it's just the mechanical mounting points. Now, at the moment, you can see that this piece of metal is shorting from pin 3 to pin 1. And then if you slide it slide it to the right, it is going to short from this pin here, from pin 2. It's going to skip this contact. It's going to contact this one here, which is also pin 3. So it's going to bridge between pin 3 through here, across, and to pin 2 here. Then, if you slide it across even further, it's going to show this contact is going to move from the common, from pin 3, to contacting pin 4, and this end of the contact is going to contact this part here, going to pin 3. So this end of the contact goes from being the common in the first two positions to being the third pole, no, not third pole, the third throw when it is slid entirely to the right. So yeah, that's how the switch works. Now they could have represented that with a schematic symbol, like a not so much a physical representation. The way this should have been represented, in fact, I wonder if how I did it. What did I do when I laid this out? Oh yeah, it's kind of ugly, but it works. Okay, so this is the symbol that I've got in the schematic. So pin 3 is common. It's a single pole 3-throw switch, and the throws are on pins 1, 2, and 4. And you can see there is one throw here, then it comes to this throw, then it goes to that throw. So this represents logically what happens when the switch moves, and this represents physically what happens when the switch moves. So it's got that extra layer of abstraction where you have to think through what is happening in this switch to move when it slides across to make and break the contacts. And if at first glance, when I first looked at this, I sat there and puzzled for a moment and thought, what the hell are they trying to represent? What is this U shape here? Until I realized that was representing the physical shape of the piece of metal inside the switch. Yeah. Jacksec says, mechanical engineer wrote this data sheet. Yeah, quite likely. I think you're probably right. The mechanical engineer who designed it would have done the drawings for it. So anyway, why am I talking about this? Yeah. So this is an area where I have so if you map this, so you match, if you look at this, you say, okay, the common is pin 3 and the throws are pins 1, 2, and 4. So common is here, pin 3, and then the throws are 1, 2, and 4. So it's just this extra level of abstraction where you have to think through. You can't look at this diagram and know which one of these is the common because it's not marked. It should say something like common on on pin 3, and then maybe list the throws or something on here. That would make it really obvious. That should be a schematic thing. Sounds like I'm complaining about this data sheet, but it's actually not bad. This is, it's one of those things where once I sat and thought about this for a moment and worked through.
You just wanted us to see that you're smart, because you actually are.
No. Once I thought through this for a moment, I could figure it out, but it was not presented in a way that made it unambiguous. And the result is that because I had to do this footprint and symbol and map the pins through to the footprint, I am still not 100% convinced that I got this right. There is a really good possibility that this is not going to work. This board is not going to work because I screwed up the footprint for this connector. There is a non-zero chance. We shall see. But luckily, what this switch actually does means that for most of my situations, I don't care if this is screwed up, because if this part of the functionality doesn't work, it's easy for me to just ignore it. So what this switch is actually used for in this circuit, you can see the common coming off here. That's the common.
At Tinker001 said, your footprint seems to match what JLC provides.
Cool, thanks Tinker. So what you can see is that this switch is switching between pulling to VCC, or if it's in the middle position it's isolated, or if it's in the lower position it's grounded. So it's a tri-state switch which can be either pull high or pull low or high impedance, which is just switched to the middle. Now where that actually goes, what that is switching is a bias on this input onto the 4053. So and it overcomes the signal coming from the USB to serial converter. So we've got the RTS signal here coming from the USB to serial converter, which has, where does this go? Oh yeah, RTS. So that goes to the RTS signal here, which is actually not even connected through to this header. But anyway, there's a do not place 0 ohm jumper on it. If you did want to pass the RTS signal through, but in this case we don't. So I just left it unpopulated. So we've got the RTS signal coming through this 47K resistor going to the ABC inputs on the 4053. So if the switch is in the middle position, it isolates this net and doesn't apply any bias to it, and the state of this switch is going to follow RTS because it's linked through this 47K resistor. But we can either bias it high or low by moving that switch and force the state here and manually force it to be working one way or the other. So worst case scenario, if I have screwed this up, I can just cut a track or whatever, isolate the switch, and then it will be isolated from here and it will follow RTS, which means that it will be in auto mode, which is what I want most of the time anyway. So my typical use case for this module is flashing a target board with something like an ATmega 4809 on it, and then opening a serial console through the same port and, well, when I say same port, I mean the same USB port, and then doing serial console-y stuff, talking to the target board. So auto mode, which is with this switch turned off, or in the middle position, is what I actually want most of the time. So I think that I'm actually pretty safe. I'm going to be okay. It'll be okay, people. But it is quite likely that I've screwed up somewhere else. So yeah, particularly around this buffer.
At Tinker001 said, I am curious why you're powering the 4053 from 5 volts.
Good question. So it could have been from VCC, which is the, where is that? Where does VCC come from? I can't, where does it come from? Okay, this could, maybe this is not going to work at all. Is VCC linked to anything? Does it go anywhere? Oh, okay, it's switching from here. It comes off the output of this switch. So we're switching the voltage for running that at either 5 or 3, but this is running at 5. TXD, that is a good point. That should be running off VCC. So we've got switching target power here, which is deciding whether we want to send power to the target. So we've got, on this side running through the buffer, we've got it powered off VCC. So the RxD voltage is going to be set by VCC, but TXD is going to be set, yeah, those are off 3.3 volts, which is fine. They can be off a fixed reference. I think you're probably right, and that this should be powered off VCC. Interesting. Now this, for the initial use cases that I want these modules for, this is not going to be a problem because the target boards I'm connecting these to are 5 volts. But if you had a 3 volt target board, yes, yes, as Tinker said, it should work fine, but VCC makes more sense. Yes, it does. I wonder if I can, hang on, let's try this.
It should work fine, but VCC makes more sense.
Yes, that was Tinker's comment. Yeah, it does. I am curious to know. I'm curious to know what the serial UPDI device does. Let's find out. Somewhere here, UPDI mod, resources. Okay, let's see what, I'm just going to pull this up. So this is the schematic of the serial UPDI module. And this is the 4053 here is on a split, it's a split symbol, so it's got the 3 gates shown as separate boxes here, but you can see, yeah, it's powered off 5 volts here. You can, so this part of the schematic right here that you can see, it looks like there are 4 individual yellow boxes. It looks like those are 4 separate parts, but they're not. That's all the same part. It's all IC3. You can see IC3A, IC3B, C, D. They're all the same physical part. It's just split for schematic purposes. So the main voltage rail going to that in this board is 5 volts. So V plus 4053. What is the okay? Where is what? This. Where is what? I'm just going to look up something else. I'm going to bring something else up from that order because I ordered CD4053s in that same order. Where's the data sheet? Aha, Tinker is sending me images. Here we go. So this is the 4053. There's no voltage range in the thing there. What's the data sheet say? 3 to 15 volts. It's a very wide range. Yeah, so the 4053 has a very wide operating voltage range, being classic CMOS logic or whatever it is. Yeah, minimum, maximum, 3 to 15 volts. Yeah, so the part itself definitely is no problem anywhere in that voltage range or way beyond it. Hang on. I need some mute music or something to put on at times that I'm coughing, so I don't just have dead air like a bad DJ. What am I doing? Yes. Point is, I think I should have powered the 4053 off VCC, and it has been done at 5 volts in the serial UPDI module, but I suspect that it probably shouldn't be. And I've never actually used a serial UPDI module at anything but 5 volts. Every board that I have ever used it on has been a 5 volt board. So, what can I... Okay, to test it. Testing, I'm just thinking about this. I've got... yes, I have several boards that I could grab. The thing is that the 4809 boards that I have are all client boards. Oh, a few more people are in the chat. Stephen is here. Also, Gavin Jackson, David Crisp, Dave Paul Jones, and Amanda. I said hello to Amanda earlier. Where's the chat gone? Where has the chat gone? I've lost it. It is back behind stuff. All right, here we go. Tinker says everything in the circuit will work fine at 3v3 or 5. Yes. Yes. Oh, Tinker says in my circuit I've set everything to VCC and eliminated the SN74LVC 1G125, which is the buffer. Right there. Yeah, okay, cool. So set everything to VCC, delete that part, pass the RX signal through. Yeah, cool. So, notwithstanding these flaws, I think it's going to work okay.
Can you just hook it up to the computer? Let's see, does it even detect it?
Yeah, says Henrik. As Henrik says, less talk, more do. Okay. What I need to check first is I just want to look for whether I have a USB cable here. I have a feeling that I have a USB cable with which has already been broken out. But is it in the right order? Let's see. I'm just checking. So we've got 5 volts, D plus, D minus, ground. It is even the correct order. Nice. All right. Now, how should I use this? I think. Let's go overhead and start doing stuff over here.
001 said, it better detect it. The CH340 is wired properly.
Okay. Yeah, but did I assemble it properly? That's the question. So these are boards. They were panelized in 12s. Oh, did I tell you about the ridiculousness? I don't think I did. When I panelized this, I think I might have told you. Where is it? No, I don't have a panel here. These switches stick over the edge of the board, and I panelized it like this, which means if the switches are, I'm going to have to change that switch and change that switch. So you can see the little things on the switches interlock with each other because they stick over the edge of the board and they're directly facing each other. But because the tabs are offset sideways, when you, like if those two switches are both to the left, and then you rotate one 180 degrees, now one is flipped left and one is flipped right, and the little tabs mesh into each other. But I did actually screw up a little bit. They are within a fraction of a millimeter of fitting properly. So I had to fudge the switches a bit to get them to fit when it was all panelized like that. Stupid mistake. Anyway, so this is my butchered USB cable, and you can see the pins are 5 volt, D plus, D minus, ground, which happens to align with this. That is, I was going to say it's a fluke. It's not entirely a fluke, because that same pin order I have used on several different devices, which is why this would be wired up in that pin order. it's not really so much a standard as just, it's kind of the way that I've done a few things with USB on them. So it's almost a fluke, but not quite a fluke.
Never dawned John's assembly. It's always in brilliant condition.
That's a lie. No. Henrik, it is not always in brilliant condition. So now I just need to find from my little local cache of pin headers. I'm just thinking about what to put on this one. Should I can't, yeah, if this all works, I don't want to sacrifice it, but I can just take the pins out and replace them. But if I put pins going down, then I think I'll do that. That way, I'm going to work on the basis that this is going to work. I'm going to have faith that the circuit will actually work. And then, okay, what else do I need? Something like one of those, but a 2x3. Ooh, do I have one here? I do have plenty of them. It's just, this is my local cache of pin headers. That's it. Oh, there's one. That sits on my bench. So this is just all the random pin headers. Everything that's in here I have in bulk quantities, but stored elsewhere. This is the go-to level 1 cache that I reach for. I'll solder this one on first. And then I'm going to have to find myself a board and some code. Maybe just pull up Blink or something, see if we can flash a board with it. Oh, okay. While I'm doing this, because my brain doesn't do two things at once, I need to defer to you. I'm going to handball, and someone...
At Tinker001 said, but have you designed the Testomatic boards to have the headers on this board on top or bottom?
Oh, I designed it to have them on the bottom. So what I did was I made a footprint. I've made a Fusion library footprint for this module that has the matching connectors on it. So all I do is put the footprint on the bottom of the module, and then the headers match for this to plug into, in theory. We shall see if it actually works. Come on. So, nerd brags, come on, hit us with some. And because I'm away from the computer right now doing soldering, use the TTS. So if you've got a nerd brag for this week, chuck it in with a say in front of it. And
At Tinker001 said, always sucks when you mix that up.
Yeah. Top and bottom, yeah. Working in mirror mode. That's one of the reasons that I like to make library parts for these. It takes away the human judgment part of it. Once you've validated that you got it correct, it means that next time you do it, you just throw the part down and you know it's good. So I'm going to, which way around is it? That way. I'm going to plug that in there. Oh. And what am I going to do? Power doesn't matter.
Amanda_RFT said, have none this week.
Have none this week. No nerd brags this week, Amanda. But you worked a big thing last night, so isn't that an achievement for the week? That classifies. And it doesn't have to be a big spectacular thing. My very first nerd brag when I said we needed to do nerd brags was that I had cleaned my bathroom. So it's just, the point is, it's like, I hate to use this term, but it's almost like gratitude. It's just thinking about, trying to actively think of something that was good.
And if it doesn't work, then what John buys next coffee to a random fellow. Also, the mirror thing is so awful. I fell for it a bunch of times.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, one thing that I like about Something that is a big improvement in modern CAD tools is mirror view in the PCB layout tool. Like in Fusion, if you are in PCB layout, you just hit F for flip, and you are looking at the board in a mirror image from the bottom of the board. So it's not like you're X-ray visioning down through the board, you're actually looking at it from the bottom of the board, so all of your perspective is correct. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember the key for it, but I'm pretty sure KiCad does the same thing. And yeah, it used to be that working with parts on the bottom of the PCB, you were essentially mentally mirroring everything. You were looking down from the top of the board through the board to the bottom layer, and all the parts were reversed. But now, you just flip the view. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right, well, good thing is we seem to have power. I don't know if anything else works. Let's see if the CH340 came up on my computer. And this might be a... once again, the tradition is every single stream, I don't always mention it, but every single stream, but typically around 11 a.m., every... every Sunday,
At
Java.
001 said, just checked. KICAD doesn't seem to have a key bound to flip, but it's in the view menu.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so you can do it in the view menu. It's nice having a keyboard shortcut. Like if I do F, that's flip. So we're now looking at the bottom of the board. And that's top of the board. That's the bottom of the board. That's the top of the board. So that little thing is really handy when you're doing double-sided boards and things. Oh, Jack's Tech said, swap the D plus and D minus, and you'd actually be using the USB 2.0 standard for a pinout. Really? Is there a standard for like a pin header sort of thingamajigamy? What am I doing? Oh, that's right. I need to go to About This Mac. And I could have just gone to System Profiler. Oh look, I'm showing my serial number and stuff. Hopefully that is not ruining my life in some way. What am I looking for? No, System Report. That's what I want. That. So that USB, and we can see all the devices I've got attached. It'll be on Tinker says, isn't that the Mac we bought you? No, this one isn't. Maybe the TTS will. Jack's Tech said, used on PC motherboards.
001 said, isn't that the Mac we bought you?
No, that was the laptop, which... Oh, hang on, no. The Mac Mini. Yeah, that... no, that was the laptop, which I still use like every day. But right now I am sitting at my desk, and this is my fixed computer, which is a Mac Mini. The computer that you bought me is in my backpack just over there. Yes. I have got so much from doing these streams and having all of you have my back over the years. Anyway, I would start getting emotional if I start talking about that. So I'm gonna skip on that for a minute. Anyway, this is it. So this USB 2 hub is the hub that is attached on my electronics bench, so that I can plug devices in on the bench. And that is what my keyboard is plugged into. So that is the...
At Tinker 001 said, well deserved.
Oh, thanks, Tinker. So that is my keyboard. and the Software Choc keyboard, and this is the it says USB serial. That is, it's very small on the screen. You'd probably have trouble reading it, but it's reporting vendor ID hex 1A86, product ID 7523. I bet if we looked that up, we would find that that is the CH340. USB vendor ID, what was I looking for? Where? 1A86. Oops. Is Chinhen Electronics, USB 1A86. Here we go. 7523. Yep, that's it. So this thing here, this is what is being reported. It is CH340 serial converter. Haha. Victory! It's perfect. We can all go home now. We know it's good. So it has enumerated at least, and it's identified itself as the device that we had hoped that it would. So that's good. That is actually very good. Now, Jordan, welcome Jordan. Thank you for coming along. Now, I need to find a board that I can plug this into. Ooh, I might have just done something bad to myself by putting that connection on the bottom. I will explain in just a moment. There will be a way around it, but this might be kind of annoying that I soldered on that pin header on the bottom of the board, by which I mean with the USB cable sticking out like this. Because if I'm going to plug this into a board, this cable is going to get in the way. But I think there is a particular board. Oh, this one? Maybe this one? Yes, this one. So this board, okay, before I, how am I going to do this? Oh, there's no LED on this version. Okay, I am going to, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's an LED. I've got to grab myself some tape and cover up this board before I stick it.
Extensions, breadboard wires.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm not going to need to, because I found a board that is small and that I can plug in directly. But I'm going to put some tape over it. And before I let you see it, where is, oh, just got to, is it that one? Is it that one? What is with that soldering job? That is terrible. Yeah, I definitely don't want you to see that, but where is pin 1 on this board? So where? Okay, where's the ground reference? I can figure this out. We have the technology. Ground on this is that pin there, and ground on this one is I can't tell. And I can figure this out.
While you tape it, is it customer secret stuff?
Yes, it is customer secret stuff. Let's see. Don't worry, I'm almost there. I almost have a solution to this. So if I just need to beep out that. Okay, there's pin 1. All right, that is there. Yeah, okay. It all makes sense now in my head, at least. It may sound like I have just been talking gibberish to you. But here we go. So there we go. That is the customer board, now anonymized. So you can't see what it is. Not that you'd be able to tell anything much anyway. Even if I revealed it, I mean, it wouldn't be a super big deal, and I don't think the customer would mind. But I'm just erring on the side of caution and respect. I do not have explicit permission to show this board, so I am being very conservative and just not doing anything that could potentially make them not trust my integrity. So what am I going to do? I'm going to, no, I do not want to update Arduino IDE. I am going to open, where is it? Examples. I'm just going to try pushing something to it. Blink will do. No, actually I don't want blink. I want, because I want to be able to test not just upload, but also the serial interface. So examples, communication, ASCII table, that'll do. I will bring this up for your viewing pleasure in just a second. ASCII table. Oh, I may have to, I have a feeling that I need to do a
I just hope it isn't
replacement
any
on this.
nuclear device control board, otherwise I don't care.
Yeah, it isn't any nuclear controlled device board. Let's make that 1152 and serial. Can we replace with serial 3, I think is going to be, hang on, how to replace all. Okay. So I'm pretty sure, this is just going from memory, the way this board is wired up, serial 3 is the debug port, which comes back out to the serial console. 4809, and we've got, what have we got? Internal 16 megahertz, it's a 4809. No, this is a, what processor is on this board? I think this, that's right, this one's a 4808. Mega Core X 4808. Is it? I think it is a 4808. No bootloader, 16 internal, 32 pin standard. Yeah. Serial UPDI, yeah, let's pick that. And let's just try uploading, see what happens. I don't know. No, in this serial 3 was not declared in this scope. Okay. Oh, that's because I am thinking about. Oh, hang on.
At Tinker001 said, gonna have to peek under the tape to confirm.
No. I've got another way of confirming. I have, I think, I've just got to open this. Is it an experimental? No. Oh, okay. Let's stop overcomplicating things and go to examples, basics, blink. I just want to push this to it. Forget the serial port. Let's just see if this will upload, which is the starting point. Resource busy. Okay. I wonder if, do I have another serial console open somewhere? Oh, I do. I had another window open. I'll close that. Off screen on another monitor, I had another serial console open. Uploading, AVR2 done, error initialization. Okay, that failed. AVR part 4808. What did it detect? That complains that does not exist. Serial UPDI, double check connections, try again. I wonder if I've got power to the target turned off. No, it's turned on. And, oh, I've got the target voltage wrong. Not that that should matter, because the target should still run at 3.3 volts. Does that change? No. Sorry, what was just going through my head was whether the LED was tied to the switched power rail, but no, it's not. I'm just going to hit upload again, having just changed the position of the switch on the thing. That is failing. I wonder if I can do that. See if UPDI does its thing. Did I have a port selected? Error, failed programming. Okay, serial UPDI. Serial UPDI. Do I have another programmer plugged in? I do. I actually have 2 serial UPDI programmers plugged in right now. All right, unplugging that. That might be confusing things. I've got another board plugged in on a different USB hub. Let's just try again. Now that I've unplugged that, we'll just see what happens. No such file or directory. Okay, maybe I had the wrong thing selected. Let's go to profile, system information. I just want to make sure this USB thingamajigamy again is still showing up. Now that I've unplugged the other program her. There, USB serial. It is still there. Although one thing I've noticed is this system information thing on the Mac doesn't seem to update. Like if I, where is it plugged in? There. If I unplug this, so I've now unplugged the, I've unplugged this, the USB serial device. You can see it's still here in the list. So, and if I close that, what happens? No, it doesn't refresh. If I close that, no, it doesn't refresh. If I close the entire system information thing, and then I open system information again, let's see if it is gone. USB. Okay, now it's gone. Now, if I plug it back in, so now at least we're not being confused by... Oh, before I plug it in, I just want to make sure, are there any other devices it's seeing here that could be confusing the whole thing? So we've got unnamed device here, non-removable, I don't know what that is. ATM Extreme, that's my external SSD. USB JTAG serial debug unit, what is that? What do I have plugged in that oh, I'm going to unplug that. I have another device plugged in. I've got, as you can see, I've got multiple USB hubs, multiple buses. I've got so many devices plugged in. Maybe that was confusing it? Okay, so I am now going to plug in this other device to the external USB hub. So now, but it's not going to rescan the bus. Is there a way to get it to rescan the bus? Can I right-click, rescan? No. I think it must only scan on startup. So if I, once again, quit out of that and do system information and come back in again. Now we've got USB serial back again. All right, so I'm fairly confident that this is the device. I am confused. But anyway, I am pretty confident that that is the device that I have just plugged in. So, did I plug it in the right way round? So many questions. Oh, I'm going to bring it back over here because one thing that you can usually tell is on the, I should see activity on the port. If I try doing burn bootloader, I see no attempted activity on the port. Failed chip arrays, uploading error. That doesn't tell me much. All right, now, there are probably people in the chat telling me what to do. No, the chat has gone totally silent. It's probably because you're all being amused by me, me failing. So, okay. What am I going to do? Oh, there's rain coming down out here. I'm going to, where are we? Firmware, that, I am just going to open something here in the old Arduino IDE, which is taking a while to open. I've got some test code that I have flashed to this target board in the past. The other question is, I don't know why that board was sitting on my bench. I don't remember. It's a previous version of a board that I did for a client. It's like an old version. It's not the current hardware. And it was sitting on my bench with connectors missing from it. So it could well be that the target board itself isn't even working. We don't have a known state. So let's see. Serial speed. It is using serial 2. Interesting. Okay. And let's, I'm going to set that to Mega Core X, ATmega 4808. Now, I can't show you this. I've got to do this off screen, but I'm going to try flashing the test code from, like, the client's test code onto this, just to see what happens, because I want to see if I can flash it that way. And then I'll change to, if that doesn't work, I'm going to change to, ooh, there we go, serial USB, that. Then I'm going to change to the serial UPDI module and see if that works. So eliminate, basically replace my hardware. Ooh, that just flashed. Okay. Hang on. It flashed? That means it did. It actually did. Oh, I wish I could show you this. How am I going to do this? No, I am fairly sure. Yeah, okay, check this out. Check this out. I'm going to bring this thing up on screen. So this is, I am running currently Arduino IDE 2 and Arduino IDE 1 at the same time. What you see on screen right now, this is the serial console from Arduino IDE 1, and this is milliseconds of uptime being reported from the serial console of that board via my UPDI module, and it's working. So, yeah, yay. That is good, but why didn't it work when I did it out of this? Okay, I'm going to close this console so that I can use Arduino IDE 2, because I should be able to do this. Now, what is going on here?
At Tinker001 said, the Arduino window you were using was trying a different port.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. So we've got bootloader 2140. Yeah, 8410. This will be it. You are right. So if I do upload now of this, it works. Awesome. And now if I go back to, what did I do? Why isn't there a window menu in Arduino IDE? They didn't fix it when they went to 2. That is so annoying. If you have a... Okay, I've got this sketch open. I've got Blink open. But I also have other things open that you can't see right now because they're behind Fusion or whatever. They're out of view. There is no menu in Arduino IDE that lists the open windows so that you can go to it. How... That is so annoying. But, yeah, so if I command tilde, I can flip between the windows. All right, serial, it is not serial 3, it is serial 2, I think. Let's see. Yes, serial 2. So if I do this, that, and replace that with that, replace all, and now what have I got? Port 8410. Okay. Open the serial monitor. We should be getting the, oh, not a 9600 board. It should be 115.
Alt-Tab doesn't work in Mac.
Alt-Tab, no, it's Alt tilde to switch between. Alt-Tab switches you between applications, and Alt tilde switches you between windows within an application. So if you've got multiple browser windows open and you Alt tilde, you'll switch between your browser windows. For example, I was just using it to switch between windows in the IDE. Serial 3 was not declared in this scope. Okay, so let's close the serial monitor and reopen it now that I've selected port 2. Did I select port 2? I selected that. All right, so we should be getting the... anyway, let's just upload if I can. We'll see if this works. Ooh, it's uploading. It's uploading. We switch back to the serial monitor. Why aren't I getting serial monitor coming back in Arduino IDE 2.0? But it was in Arduino IDE 1.0. All right. What are the serial settings? Okay, new line 115,200. The port is set to...
Tinker001 said, do you have the switch in auto or UPDI?
I've got it in auto right now. And the serial console was coming back just a moment ago.
Is it new line, carriage return over there?
Should not matter in terms of seeing the data coming back from it. I'm just going to hit reset on the target board.
At Austin's_creations said,
oh,
because you are only using serial 2.
No. It turned out to be a timing thing. There we go. There is the ASCII table being dumped out. No, the problem was... the problem is timing. Okay, I'm going to clear the IDE window, the serial console window. So what happens is, we've got these two tabs at the bottom. There's output and serial monitor. I'm in serial monitor right now. If I click upload, what happens is it compiles, it pushes the code to the device, but in pushing the code to device, it switches to the output tab, which we should see, yeah. And while it's doing that, it disconnects the serial monitor, and after it's finished the upload, it reconnects the serial monitor and brings the serial port back. But by the time it does that, it's too late. It's missed the message because the micro boots and it dumps out this stuff and it finishes before the IDE has even caught up to itself. So if we do, so let's wait for that to connect and then, oops, let's do like dolp. Dolp. I should do a macro or something.
Tinker001 said, one day, John will switch to a better IDE.
Yeah. Oh, I do use others. In other, yeah. My actual preference is to use Vim, but let's. So I've just put a 2-second delay in there. So what should happen now is it should switch back to the serial monitor. There we go. And because there was the delay, the IDE had time to switch back and reopen the serial port before the before the micro did its output. And because this example only outputs once and then stops, see what it does is it runs setup and loop, and when it gets to the end of loop, where is it? This byte, go on to the next character. While true, continue, otherwise not. So basically it does it. It dumps the table out once and then stops. But it does it so fast that it has already finished by the time the IDE has opened the serial port. So what we could do is some testing. Let's do a little bit more testing of this module. For example, if I clear this, okay, so we now have the console cleared. I'm going to press the reset button and we should see the ASCII table dump out. So let's just first verify that happens. Where's the reset button? I've got to find it in under the tape. There we go. Okay. You can see that it has just dumped out the ASCII table. It did it twice because I pressed the button twice. Now I'm going to clear this again. I am going to set the mode switch to UART. So it is now explicitly on UART mode. And then I'm going to press reset again and we should get the console still. Let's see. Where's the reset button? Got to find. There we go. Okay, so we got the output when it is explicitly in UART mode. Let's try the opposite. I'm going to clear that, set it to UPDI mode. So it is now UPDI mode, and I think, based on my understanding of what this programmer is doing, I think we should not see serial console data coming out. So I'm going to click, or maybe it will work that way, but TX won't work. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to click it. All right, I've clicked the reset, and we have nothing in the console. Press it again, still nothing. So at this point, it's in UPDI mode. In fact, let's try something. I am going to try burn bootloader, and we'll see what happens. We'll see if it can actually UPDI. Yes, it can. So in UPDI mode, it successfully burned the bootloader, but we get no serial monitor. And now if I switch to UART mode, and I try the same thing again, I'm going to try burn bootloader, this should fail. Burning, burning. Yes, it's sitting there timing out, waiting for a response. So if we explicitly force UART mode, it can't do UPDI. If we explicitly force UPDI mode, it can't do UART. If we leave it in auto mode in the middle, it does both. So that's a win. That's another win. Okay, I'm going to stick it back to auto mode. Auto mode where it should be. The target power to the device is working. Currently we've got the 5 volts set on the device target. What's got to go wrong? Why is this working? What is wrong? Oh, Henrik said, did it work with the 3v3 switch position as well? 21 moments left. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on chat. Oh yes, Tinker says one day John will switch to a better IDE. Hang on, hang on. I've just got to reply to a message. Because there's a barbecue at the gym straight after this. But I'm streaming. Just telling someone. Okay, so the backstory is the end of year Christmas barbecue is at the gym down the street. And the gym owner asked if he could borrow my barbecue. So I took the barbecue down yesterday, and he just sent me a message asking if I have barbecue utensils. But I can't take them down right now because I'm talking to you. So I will, after the stream, I'm going to grab barbecue utensils and take them down there. So where are we? Did it work with a 3.3 volt switch position as well? Asked Henrik. That is a very good question, and I should check that the voltage, in fact, what I should do is, all right, one of the things I need to do is fix my OBS overlays and data capture and stuff off the instruments, because I can, let's have a look at this. Right now, it is easier for me to pull, oh, it's not turned on. It is easier for me to pull my scope interface up on screen than to pull the multimeter interface up on screen. And the multimeter interface, like, it's all there. The Unity interface pushing to MQTT, etc. It's all there, sitting there plugged in, but I don't have OBS set up to get the relevant stuff properly. So I need to do that. What I want to do is, come on, Rygol, finish booting. Finish booting, finish booting. I didn't turn the scope on before I started the stream, and the DHO series scopes take a significantly long time to boot. A lot longer than the old DS series. It's worth it. Once it finishes, it's worth it. But, oh yeah, there we go. Okay, it's finished booting. Is it on the network? Not yet. Meter output on screen, yeah. Asked Tinker. I have actually used it on, I did use it on screen.
At Tinker001 said, how many years have we been waiting for John to use the meter output on screen?
Too many. Too many. Come on. Get onto the network, Rygol. I wonder if I've unplugged it. It may well be. Yeah, I have a very strong suspicion. Austin says, the good news is I make up for it on my streams. Yep. Austin makes good use of the on-screen display. I have a feeling that I have unplugged the Ethernet. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to crawl under the bench. This is going to... I've actually got to crawl under my bench, because I think this is the opposite of the problem I had last week. Yeah, I have unplugged it. I've got to unplug a different Ethernet cable, which was going to a Raspberry Pi, and plug in the Ethernet that goes to the Rygol. And oh, can I reach it? Why won't you go in? I think that's it now. Back up from under the bench. There we go. Rygol web control is there. Okay. Got to compose myself. Oh, look at the time base on it. It's super slow. It's on a 1 second time base. What are we doing? Let's zoom in a bit. That'll do. So I need to hook up. I need a ground and I need a power. Which is the power pin? I know this is a bit weird because it's a mix of that face cam, but I'm at the bench. So where are we? V plus is there, ground is there. V plus, ground. Yes, okay. So,
2 goals for you next year, Fist. Buy bigger switch second of all bullet at John's delivery bot robot thingy.
yeah, goals, goals. All right, where's V plus? That one? There we go. Let's bring that time base in a bit to make it quicker. All right, so that is with the switch in the 5 volt position, and that's with it in the 3.3 volt position. So just to explain what the hell is going on right now, I'm going to switch to this view. So what I've got is the scope probe connected to ground. It's just onto the body of the switch here. And then I'm measuring the pin that is the power rail that goes through to the device that you've plugged it into. And then I'm just switching, I was flicking the voltage switch between 5 and 3.3 volts. So that is what you are seeing right here. That is the voltage. If I take the probe off, it'll drop to 0, stick it back on, it's back up to 3.3-ish, whatever that reading happens to be. Looks close enough to 3.3 to me. All right, so we know the voltage regulator is working. I'm still trying to find what I screwed up. So I think we can all agree that I screwed up the voltage to the CD4053. That should be going to VCC, not to 5 volts. Amanda, yes, I need a new bigger network switch for under the bench. Right now there is one little switch. It's a 5-port switch under my bench, and turns out that 5 ports is not enough. So if I had one more port, I think I'd be okay. Yeah, I would be okay. I actually have another 5-port switch on the... So when I say 5-port switch, that's including the uplink. So it's actually like 1 uplink and then 4. It's a little Unify. It's one of these. This is one that is not plugged in. This one actually belongs to Andrew Cochran. So it's a little Unify Ethernet switch. And these things...
001 said, 48 ports or go home.
Yeah, maybe. But I don't want like a big noisy rack mount switch right here at my desk. I want everything quiet. These little switches are silent. Right now there is one of these switches under my desk, which is what this computer, the Rigol and the 8M. There's a little Think Center here running Ubuntu. There's a Raspberry Pi. There's a whole collection of gear here on the bench, which is all plugged into the little switch. Same as this one. This one, which is obviously not connected and should be, mounts over my electronics bench for plugging stuff in over there.
Get the Unify 48 port post switch.
I actually have a, well, tomorrow I am going to find out whether I am getting a 16-port Unify PoE switch, second hand. Amanda said, is the switch PoE? These little switches can be powered off PoE, but they do not provide PoE. So what you can do is use these on the end of a network segment that is PoE from some central switch, but they do not deliver PoE.
_RFT said, is the switch PoE?
Yeah, they do not deliver PoE to other devices downstream of them. And I, in the Australian Unify Buy Sell Swap group on Facebook on Thursday. Yeah, I think it was Thursday. Someone in Queensland, maybe New South Wales, north of here, north enough that it doesn't actually matter what state it is because I'm not about to drive there. Put up a 16 port Unify PoE switch for $200, and I instantly got in touch and said yes, I want it. But he'd listed it for pickup only, and so what I did was send him a message saying I would like to buy it, but I'm in Melbourne, so it would need to be shipped, and of course I'd be happy to pay for shipping, but maybe see if someone local wants to buy it, and if you don't have a local offer, then use me as your backup plan, and I will buy it if you can ship it to me. So that is the current agreement, is that he was going to sort of wait out the weekend and see if any local people wanted to buy it, and if they didn't, he said he'd let me know on Monday, and then the switch would be mine, and he'd box it up and post it to me. So I'm hoping that this week I will get a 16 port Unify PoE switch, because right now what I'm doing, I've got Unify access points, which are PoE, but I'm running external PoE injectors. So I've got non-PoE switches in the rack going to PoE injectors that then go out to the access points. And everything would just be a whole lot neater if I had a PoE switch and I could avoid that whole thing and just power PoE straight out to the endpoints. So my plan, if I get that switch, is to put that in the rack and use that as the primary connection going out to things like access points and subsidiary PoE powered switches like these little ones. Tinker says I have 4 lines from the rack to my desk and each has a small switch. Yeah, it's always the way. It's like PowerPoints. There is no such thing as too many. Whatever you have, you could do with more. What is going on here? Okay, so where were we? That's right. Where we were is, to my shock, amazement, surprise, and mild disbelief, this is working. I've got, we can run it in auto mode, we can force UART mode, we can force UPDI mode. The onboard voltage regulator is working, so we can select 5 volt and 3.3 volt. Crispian says, I have no network cables. Yeah, all Wi-Fi. All Wi-Fi, nothing but net. So that is working. It kind of works. It kind of works. Tinker says, last count, counting power bar outputs, I have something like 40 power points at my desk too. Yeah. Sounds healthy. Sounds healthy. Henrik asked a question which TTS will catch up on in just a second, and the short answer is no.
Do you have any reverse polarity protection?
I answered it before the question was asked. No, there is no reverse polarity protection, because this is So the idea is that this is going to be plugged into something and permanently attached. This module will be designed in. So we have power coming in from here. This is the 5 volt 5 volt rail coming from USB, from whatever host this is connected to. And then it goes through, I've got a polyfuse on it just because you don't really know what's going to happen on the far side of this. Then we've got the 5 volt rail, which goes to the power selection switch, and it also goes to the 3.3 volt regulator, which gives us our optional 3.3 volt rail. Oh yeah, so the power LED is coming off the 3.3 volt regulator, which means that even if you're not using it, that LED, and in fact these activity LEDs, are all coming off the 3.3 volt rail. So, oh, and Z, that's interesting. Z0 is also pulled to 3.3 volts. Yeah, that really should be powered off VCC. We've got a mixed, I mean, it's all above the gate threshold voltage for the thing, so it's going to work. But, okay, I'm going to make a note to myself here. Copy, for to do. I'm going to say to do. To do. So this is so that I don't forget for future revisions. Power CD4053 from VCC, and also the other thing I need to do, I think I should do.
I asked because Arduinos have the Schottky diode, so no backfeed voltage to the computer.
Ah, yeah. That's a good point. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. So Z0 and also Z0 from VCC. I'm pretty sure that should be like that for consistency. Ooh, okay. Andy has just sent me something that is it safe to upload? I think it is. No, not to upload, to reveal. I will get back to that. Okay, please remind me before I sign off to tell you about Andy's video. Okay, that I will explain more of that in just a moment. When I get back to it. But I'll try to wrap this thought up. So we have 5 volts and 3.3 volts coming here. So Z0 is going to 3V3, which at least is asserting it above the threshold. Even if the IC was running at 5 volts, that is still fine. But I think both of these should be VCC for niceness. Andy says, John was holding the camera. I deny everything. Yeah. So yeah, both of these should be VCC. It's kind of a weird mishmash at the moment that we've got the switchable VCC for this I/O voltage, and we have fixed 5 and 3 mismatched on the logical switch here. So yeah, and V target is off VCC. So, oh, here it is. Yeah, it comes via V target. Yes, V target is switched off VCC. So that's going to be correct anyway. It should all change. It should all follow VCC. Technically, these could come off VCC, but then the LED brightness would change depending on what voltage you had selected. Nicer to have it consistent, I think, and just have it come off 3.3, even if we're not using it. Yes, Henrik said, did you want to say something about the diode idea as well? So, back powering. Now, there is potentially a danger here. We have this header going to the target device, and we've got V target here. So this is power going to the target device. Comes through this switch. If this switch is on, and only if it's on, that V target line is tied to VCC. Now VCC comes up to here, to this switch, and then that ties to either 3.3 or 5 volts. So, in a situation where target power is turned on, and this switch is set to the 5 volt position, let's keep backtracking this, 5 volts comes from up here, right here, through this fuse, and all the way back to the host computer. So you could, apart from this fuse, if you ignore the fuse, you could effectively have a dead short from the host's 5-volt rail through here all the way to the target device's power rail. Like if both those switches are in the correct position, that's what happens. So Henrik, is this a huge problem? Maybe. Well, I don't think it's a huge problem, but it may be a problem. It may be because keep in mind that what we are typically going to be connecting to here are devices that are in an unknown state. They could be broken. They could have their own power. Now, the reason that I'm not too fussed about it is that in a standard application like this particular module, the whole point of this module is to go, in fact, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you Superhouse. I'm going to show you where this module is used. Test modules. This one. This is where I have designed it into. That one? Yes. This is where I've designed it into a board that is going to use this module. So this is the context in which all of this happens. So this is the test pin breakout board for, you can see the sockets there for all the pogo pins. And you can also see, so this is half done, like half modified. You can see the USB socket here, where in the previous version of this board, I plugged in one of MCU Dude's serial UPDI modules. So the cable plugged in there, gets attached with a cable tie, loops around, and then you can see there, that is the socket into which the serial UPDI module plugs.
At Tinker001 said, TTS is Bane balked again.
Oh, is it? Oh, it says blocked bad word detected. Will it work if I click that? No, it still won't work. Yeah, Tinker says not likely a problem in the Testomatic. And also, everything should be on VCC. Those were two things that Tinker said, which should have come through on TTS, and they didn't. And both of those were blocked as bad word detected. I don't know why. So, yeah, I concur with both of those things. So the application in a test environment, and you can see here that I have started the process of converting this board over. And what I was thinking of doing was supporting both the old and the new methods as an insurance policy. I already have this USB connector and the socket for the serial UPDI module. So what I'm doing is adding here a footprint for surface mount connections that will be the to the equivalent connections, and this is the UPDI mod, which we have just tested, and now we know it works. So that will pass the signals from the USB, which are coming up to these pads, and pass them back out to the UPDI programming header, which are on these pads, which is actually just the same as this. It's just a surface mount. It's surface mount pins instead of this IDC header, but same thing, same. So what was I saying? Oh, yeah, okay. So in this situation, where this module is being used, not with a USB cable on it, it's not being plugged into a PC and then plugged into some target board so that you can reflash it. It is being used as part of this test setup. This test board provides power to the target device and through its own power rails. Here we go. Whoops. Device under test, V in 5 volts, 3.3 volts, through the current sensed power rails. These are the switchable current sensed power rails coming from the Testomatic. So we wouldn't even be using the voltage pass-through, the power pass-through on the UPDI mod. This power switch would be always in the off position because you never actually want to pass power through the programmer to the target. You only want common ground, the UPDI debugging pin, and TX and RX. Nothing else is needed. Even RTS is not connected. So in this scenario, there is no way for a balked board, say you had a board on here that had a dead short to a 24 volt power rail, just hypothetically. Imagine you're testing a motor driver board, you had a 24 volt power rail going to it, like a high current power rail, and the board had a solder bridge, so you then jumped 24 volts straight back to its power rail, to the 5 volt power rail, and it then got passed back up through this programming header. It would be exposed on the power pin. However, even that is not a problem because the power switch is going to be turned off. It'll never go any further than that point. So yeah, in a typical use case for the Testomatic, that is not a problem. Oh, something else that you may notice down here. Look at this. 1mm JST connectors for quick slash, or what's Adafruit's version of the quick connector? Can't remember. Blank on it. I'm blank on it. Someone will tell me. Tinker says technically you could power the UPDI mod from the same source as the DUT instead of through the USB path. Yeah, that is true. Stemmer, that's it. Thank you, Stephen. Stemmer slash quick. So that is for things like, that is for I2C connection to external devices such as the LED testing device, which is attached to the pressure plate on top of the module, and we need a flying lead going up to it. So if we go to this one, maybe this one, I think it's on here. Oh, and Tinker says then you wouldn't need a voltage select on the UPDI mod. Yeah, that's right. You could pass, it would just adapt to whatever the target device is. Is it on this? No, this is the out-of-date model. Where is the up-to-date model? Do I even have an up-to-date model? Oh, not of this one. I've got an up-to-date model of another one with cutouts for passing the I2C connection through. Yeah. Now I'm going to try to finish up fairly quickly now because there is the gym event starting, and yeah, I should go and sort out my barbecue so that there aren't people standing around wondering why sausages aren't being cooked. So before I do that, let me have a quick look. Now where, oh, I'm going to do this because I've got to find where Andy sent me the link. Was it there? So I'm just opening, oh, here we go. I am opening like messaging apps and things that I don't necessarily want to. Ooh, YouTube. Quiet there. That I don't necessarily want to reveal on the stream. So I'm going to close all of that. Now, this. Now this is very loud. I'm going to bring it up in a moment so you can see it. Here. Yes. And I'm going to mute this. So, John! Thank you, John! Thank you, John. And happy Christmas to you too. So yesterday, context. Yesterday, Andy was here with his Insta360 camera, and I just did a little lap of the cleanish room. So this is, and as you can see, I can turn around. Oh, look, there's me walking along, holding the, I'm holding the selfie stick with the camera on it, but it got removed. So if I, but I can look around the room because it's a 360 thing. And just down here somewhere, in here in a minute, I opened a machine and, whoops, shoved the camera in, and then you're going to see Astra in just a second. So there was a quick look inside the machine, and over here you'll see Astra being a good puppy. Astra, hello. Where's she gone? Oh, back out. Okay, so I'm going to grab that and drop that in the chat. Henrik!
Super chat, where you at? Let the party go. Lights up, feel clap in this awesome show.
Thank you, Henrik. Yeah, so I have just dropped the link to this in the chat. So if you want to, if you want to come along and see our little robot helpers and and that sort of thing. As Crispian said, yeah, Astra in there is why it is a cleanish room. So, yeah, anyway, if you feel like it, you can take a squiz around at all the things. There's my stencil collection. This is chasing a squirrel. Sometime beginning of the week, I was in here doing some assembly, and I grabbed a stencil, and it kind of annoyed me. I've generally tried to keep my stencils grouped. So there's a label up the top. It's a little bit hard to see. I wonder if I can zoom in. Yeah, you can kind of zoom, but the resolution, because it's, anyway, let's not get into that. So the labels on the stencils, the label at the top is the name of the client. And then the label at the bottom is the name of the board and its version. And then as stencils get revised, they become obsolete. But sometimes you still need the old stencil. Like say you want to assemble an old version of a board. So my policy is that I don't throw old stencils out, even if they've been superseded. But what I do is I have a red marker pen and I draw a line through the name on it so that I know that it is... oh yeah, Jack's text says, hopefully sanitize the room of customer names. Yeah, well, if you can make a customer name out of that, good luck. But even so, they're just abbreviations. They're things like VREP is a customer abbreviation, and T-Rex is a customer abbreviation. And so what I do is I have all of the current stencils. Whoops, what happened then? Let's go back a fraction. Can I go back a fraction? Oh, it's because I'm zoomed in. That's why it's being weird. All right, so let's come back to here, back a little bit more. That'll do. All right, and then spin it around. So starting from the left, this is where the stencils begin, and then they go off to the right. And I keep them grouped by customer and then by project within the customer. And so I ended up color coding them. You can see that there are a couple of green ones, some blue ones, a bunch of yellow ones, some black ones, some red ones, and then it starts repeating. There's green, blue, yellow, black, red, and then there are more sitting up on top here because there isn't room for them on the shelf. So the current stencils are on the left up to that point, and then it starts again. These are all the obsolete stencils. And so it keeps all of the ones that we actually care about currently grouped together, and they are grouped by customer. So I know, for example, that if I want a T-Rex stencil, they're all marked as black. So that section is T-Rex stencils, and then it helps you narrow it down, and then you can look for the name of the board, which is on the sticker at the bottom, and you just grab the correct one out and then stick it back in the same place again. And if you want to find an obsolete stencil, it'll be in the section for that customer, but down on the right where all the obsolete stencils are. Yes, so I actually spent time standing there with coloured tape, putting little coloured markers on all the stencils to make it easier just to pick them out when you're looking down a big row of stencils and reading all the labels, trying to find them. I should have checked with you on that, Andy. So Andy said, didn't anticipate that John would share the YouTube unlisted link. John did look at a few frames to ensure that resolution and pixelation hide anything obviously commercial. Yeah. So I've shown people, there is nothing really confidential visible in here. I mean, there are you can see the ends of some stencils. There are some customer boards here, but you can't really tell anything about them. And some of them I've actually put on the bench here and shown on camera, because those are boards that customers are okay with me talking about. Yeah, I mean, I think I've made it fairly clear over the years that I've been doing these streams that I reveal as much as I can without breaching confidentiality or trust. So if I'm working on a project for a client and they are not explicitly okay with me sharing things. So things like, I mean, I talk all the time about the water truck project, like the water cannon stuff. And that is because I actually specifically had the conversation with the client and said, are you okay with me showing things on the stream? And he said, yeah, sure, go for it. So there is no problem with confidentiality with the commercial side of things there. So I always do my best to honor my clients' wishes. And other clients, so I've got other clients that I do work for, and I have never even come close to mentioning them on stream. I've never said their name, I've never referenced anything I've done for them, even in passing or in an unnamed way. Like, you would have no idea that I've done work for those particular companies, because their expectations are different in terms of confidentiality, etc. So I am pretty confident that there is nothing visible in this room that anybody would have any problem with. So if you want to, look around. I'm not putting that out as a challenge in terms of, okay, find something in there that I shouldn't have revealed. No, I don't take it that way. It's not a challenge. It's just, I try to be sensible about it. Okay, so yeah. I assume that the reason that the chat has gone quiet is that everybody is looking at the video and trying to find something that I shouldn't have revealed. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got to go, because I've got to go and check out what's happening with that barbecue and make sure that there aren't people starving waiting for sausages because I haven't turned the barbecue on yet. There are probably going to be like 100, 150 people down there, at a guess, going to that barbecue. And actually, I think there are actually several barbecues, as in one event, multiple barbecues, because of the volume of sausages and things that they're going to want to do. So there'll be my barbecue and another barbecue probably set up side by side. Yeah. So I am going to go and in leaving, hopefully, if OBS does its thing, it is going to stream names of supporters up the stream again, up the screen again. So I will try to do a better job of that in future. I'm going to try to be better about acknowledging all of my Patreon supporters, GitHub sponsors. I haven't actually added GitHub sponsors into this list yet. So what I did was I looked in Patreon to see a list of all of the supporters. I looked in YouTube for memberships, but I also have people supporting me on GitHub. So I'm going to get a list of those names and add them in as well. So I want to make sure that everybody that is supporting me is acknowledged, because I really do appreciate it, and I haven't done enough to highlight that. I've kind of just ignored it when I really shouldn't have, and I'm sorry about that. But for those of you who do support me in that way, I really appreciate it. Oh, and the other thing is, because I started doing this without warning, I abbreviated people's names. What you'll see in the list that goes up is when people support on Patreon, a lot of the time it has their full name. Like, that's what I receive, is their full name. But I don't know if everybody is okay with their name being revealed. So what I did was I took first name and initial, and that's it. Except in cases where someone has used a nickname or something, and then the nickname is in there. But for people that have used their real full legal name, I have anonymized it by just making it first name, initial. Hopefully that's okay. Jackstack said, run them as a ticker along the bottom of the frame. Yeah, I'm going to experiment with that. I actually did experiment with that a little bit, but running them horizontally, it takes so long to get through them all, versus doing it vertically where you've got many names on the screen at a time. So anyway, enough about that. I am going to hit that end button, and what day is it today? 21st, which means I'm not going to see you until after Christmas. So Merry Christmas and all of that sort of thing. I will see you still this year, but after Christmas. I hope you have a fantastic time. And oh yeah, Jackstack said just leave it up all stream. Yeah, something like that. That is the general idea. At some point I want to just have the names going across the stream, wherever. I will figure it all out. Tinker says, if you use my full name, people might think a lawyer that used to live next door to me was a supporter. Really? I don't know what that means. I don't understand. But anyway, I'm going to go. So thank you very much for coming along. And you've got to think about nerd brags for next week, because we had a disappointing lack of them this week. So keep being awesome, and I will talk to you soon. See ya.